Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's live. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to go live. It's been a busy month. And the busyness is just going to keep going for the next little while. But I'm happy to be here today to share with you. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And I try to go live at 10 a.m. Mountain Time every Friday. If I can't go live, I do try to schedule a video for you so that I can leave you with some inspiration. And today we're going to create this fun Trifold gift card holder. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to jump right in here. First of all, I'm going to share the products that we're going to be using today. And then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let me just make sure. Let's line this up so that we're nice and straight. Okay, so the bundle that we're going to be using is the Textured Notes bundle. This is part of the Botanical Textures, I think that's what it's called, Botanical Textures Suite, which is an online exclusive. So you won't find these particular products in any of our publications. You can only see them online. And this is a beautiful stamp set that is really great for adding texture. I have used this set so much recently. If you head to my blog at stamptreasures.com and search textured notes, you'll find a ton of projects. And I've got another one to share with you on Monday as well, a scrapbook layout that was inspired by a card. And then it's got this great die set. So the die set is called the Textured Notes dies as well. And you can see that they don't coordinate with the Textured Note stamp sets, but they do complement them. So these rectangles, they're nested rectangles, and they've got some beautiful patterns around them, which is so fun. So we're going to be using those today. In addition to that bundle, we're also going to be using the Elements of Text, which is another online exclusive stamp set. And again, this is another one that is great that you can add to anything. If you love that kind of vintagey, lots of layers of stamping, this is a great stamp set for that. I have used this a ton as well. I'm really hoping it doesn't retire anytime soon. And then we are also going to be using some of our flip flaps. So if you are not familiar with our flip flaps, this is a product that we brought over from Close to My Heart when it closed. And we sell them in 4 different sizes. So there's 4x6, 4x4, 3x4, and 3x3. We're going to be using one of the 3x4 pockets today. And I'm going to share, if you're not familiar with flip flaps, what they are is, let me just grab one. Okay, they're little pockets with an adhesive strip across the top. And how they're intended to be used is when you're memory keeping. I've got one in this little album here. You can add them to the top of your page protector so that you can include extra photos or memorabilia, that type of thing. So that's how they're intended to be used. But I wanted to come up with some ways that you could use them for card making. So I did share a peek at this card. This is a little shaker card that I created using a 3x3 flip flap. So I just tucked my shaker content in there, cut out a window, and added that like that. So it's less bulky than a traditional shaker card, but it's so fun. All right. Okay. Now let's go ahead. We're going to get started on this project. So I've got all my pieces, and actually this is an incentive or a little gift that I'm offering as a thank you for anyone who purchases from me, from my online store, between now, which is, what's the date today? April 18th and the end of the month. So April 18th to April 30th, if you purchase a minimum of $60 order, $60 before shipping and tax, and any Stampin' Rewards from me, then I will send you this kit, and it will include all the pre-cut pieces just like this. So my friend Donna and we actually participated in the creative scrapbooker, what is it called? Scrapbooking Carnival. Now I'm forgetting the name. It was a scrapbooking carnival in Calgary, and we participated in that. And this was meant to be our booth make and take. But when we got there and we pulled everything out, we realized we weren't going to have enough space. So I've got a bunch of these kits, and I want to send them out as a little thank you because I absolutely love how this project comes together. Okay, so let me explain how to create this if you want to create your own. So this cardstock measures 5.5 inches by 12 inches. And then it's scored at 4 inches and 8 inches. So that's the base of the card. And that's why it's called a trifold. So we're gonna have 3 flaps. So I am going to grab my bone folder and I'm gonna fold along each of these. So the second fold gets folded in, and I use my bone folder to make it nice and crisp. And then this first fold gets folded over. And again, I'm going to make it nice and crisp. Make sure that this lines up. Okay, so now one thing that you might find is because these are 4 by 4 inch panels, all 3 of them are, you might find that this kind of bulks up like this because it lines right up with the score line. So what I like to do is I like to trim just a sliver off of this outside, this last panel, just a sliver, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch. And then it will fold nicely. So then this is going to go in like this and like this. And so then it sits flatter. Okay, so that is the card base itself. Okay, and then we are going to use some Woven Textures DSP. So I've got a piece of that DSP. This is part of the Botanical Textures suite. There's 2 papers that are part of this suite. There's the Woven Textures, which have these beautiful woven patterns. And then there is a Botanical Textures, which is, the pack is full of black and white patterns. So we're going to put this on here. If you're looking for dimensions in today's blog post, which will go live shortly after I'm done this live, I will have all the measurements in that post. Okay, so we just matted that onto a piece of early espresso cardstock. And then this is going to go on here so that we've got a nice wide border. Just like that. Okay, and then I've got, or I should have, I appear not to. Okay, let's grab another kit here. I think one of my kits was meant to be like a little sample, and I don't think I put all the pieces in it. Okay, so we're going to use one of these rectangles. So this was cut using the second smallest rectangle. And we are going to use the greeting that says a little note of appreciation, and we're going to stamp using early espresso ink. I'll just ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it a little closer to the right-hand side. This would make a great gift card holder for teachers or a coach. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending around the edges. So I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of paper and my blending brush and some crumb cake ink. Tap off the excess, and then I'm going to go around the edges. So when I do this, I like to start on my scrap paper and go in a circular motion just to add a little bit of color. It softens that starkness just a little bit. All right, so we've got that. We're definitely going to be doing some more ink blending in a little bit. For now, we'll set this aside. And this is going to get put on here using some dimensionals. pop this on here, and I'm going to have it hanging off of the early espresso a little bit, just to kind of stagger it so not everything lines up. And then I've got a die cut leaf. Now this leaf was cut from what is this cut from? Thankful Gardens dies. I actually borrowed these dies from a friend at a retreat that I was at where I was prepping for this event. So I actually didn't own this die. But I didn't seem to have any leaf dies with me at the retreat, so I borrowed this, and I love this leaf. It's so pretty. So that was just cut using some old olive cardstock, and then I'm going to grab some linen thread, and I'm going to tie a bow. If you follow me, you know that I always need to include either linen thread, baker's twine, or some sort of fiber on almost all of my projects. I love that little bit of added texture. My scissors, just snip that. And then, you know what, we're going to use a mini glue dot for this. So if you're watching me live, I'd love for you to say hi and hear where you're watching from. And maybe if you've played with flip flaps yet. If you're a scrapbooker, you're probably more likely to have played with flip flaps, but they're good for card making as well. And I have an idea in my head for a little mini album that I think would be super cute. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for now on the front. We're going to come back to the front and add some embellishments in a little bit, but now we're going to work on the inside. So we're going to work on this flap here, and we're going to do lots of stamping. So I'm going to take my scrap piece paper, I'm going to slide it in here, and then we'll grab our stamps. Now we're going to stamp multiple images. So I'm going to start with some garden green, or not garden green, old olive. And I'm going to use this big leaf image. And we're going to stamp around the edges. So we'll do one there. Another one there. And a little bit bigger one down at the bottom here. Okay, so we're done with old olive. Now I'm going to bring in some crumb cake. And we're going to use this fabulous wicker. I call it a wicker placemat because I have placemats that look kind of like that. I'm going to ink that up with some crumb cake. I'm going to stamp off and then stamp it on here in a few different places. And we'll do one more down here. And then we're going to bring in some pecan pie. And we're going to use this stamp from the Elements of Text stamp set. Now I want to test it to see how dark it is. So I'm going to test it on my scrap paper. Okay, it's not too dark. All right, so we're going to stamp it again in a few different places. We'll do it there. This one I'm going to stamp off. And then we'll do one more up here. See how these stamps, you can create such a fun pattern. They just layer beautifully. Now I'm bringing in some early espresso, and I'm going to use one of the splatters from the Elements of Text. And we're going to fill in some splatters here. Okay, we're going to do one up here. All right. Now I'm going to bring back my crumb cake ink and my blending brush, and we're going to do some ink blending around the edges. And it's just, I don't need to add a lot of color. I just really want to soften That's the starkness of the white. And then we'll do this edge as well. And you know what? Let's do the whole card. We'll keep it consistent. So you could start with this step if you wanted to, before you've embellished anything. And we'll do the inside and outside. I'll do this spine as well. And then we'll go through the inside and do this. And we'll keep going here. Okay, 2 more sides here. All right. Okay, we can put this away. Now we're going to come back to this bit here, and we are going to do some stamping, or a little bit of stamping. We're going to stamp a greeting. So again, I'm going to bring in my early espresso, and then I've got this long, narrow die from these rectangle dies, and I'm going to stamp, "You are seriously the best." And let's hope I can get this straight. Okay, not bad. And again, we're going to bring in some linen thread. I'm going to tie a bow. And we'll use a mini glue dot. Just take that off. This is going to go right about here. We'll add our bow on there, and then we're going to bring in some dimensionals, and I'm just going to trim some edge bits here. And then this is going to go in the center like that. Okay, and we'll come back and we'll finish this off with some gems in a minute, but let's go to the inside. Okay, so now our flip-flops have 2 different, where's my flip-flop here? Okay, so in a package, some of them have the flaps across, or the adhesive across the top, and some of them have the adhesive across or down the side. So it doesn't matter which one you get, because your flap can either open this way or it can open this way. Okay, so we're going to peel off the backing. Actually, before we do that, we should probably fold this. That's all right. We'll make it work. Okay, so I'm going to line this up. This piece of pecan pie is pretty much the same size as the pocket. And then I'm going to fold this over. Like that. And I'll use my bone folder to make it nice and crisp. So then this is going to lift up like this, and your gift card will get tucked in here. All right, so I'm going to adhere this to the set. Oh, you know what? Before we do this, we want to do a little bit of stamping. Okay, so I'm going to bring back my scrap paper and some old olive ink. We're going to take this leaf stamp, stamp it there, and then also stamp it down here. And we'll bring in some crumb cake. And this stamp here. And again, I'm going to stamp off first. Just add those on there. Okay, and now we can adhere this piece. And this is going to go right in the center. Okay, and now we need to make this pretty. So we are going to bring in another piece of that Woven Textures DSP. We're going to stamp on it, do a little bit of stamping on it. So I'm going to bring in my Pecan Pie ink. And this stamp set stamp that we used earlier from the Elements of Text. And I'm going to stamp it once here and once up here. This is something that I often forget to do. I often forget that you can stamp on DSP. I mean, obviously it's going to depend on the pattern, but this is a great pattern to add some stamped images onto. Now I've got some early espresso. I'm going to bring back that splatter stamp. And we're going to add one here and one up here. Actually, we can leave this out. Now I've got this die cut circle. This was cut using the Spotlight on Nature dies. It's using this one here, this third smallest with the lines around the edges. And we're going to stamp another greeting on here with early espresso. So this says thank you. I'll just stamp that right on there. Then we're going to bring in some pecan pie. And this other leaf stamp from the notes. What is it? Notes of Textured Notes. And we're going to stamp this a couple times on here. So we're using almost all of the stamps that are in. I think there's only one stamp that we're not using on this project. Okay, we can set this aside. We can bring this piece back. We're going to add a little bit of distressing around the edges on this piece of DSP. So I'm going to just use my paper snips and go around the edges. Okay, this is going to go in the middle here, but before we do that, I've got two little scraps of that Woven Textures DSP, and I'm going to flag them. So I'm just cutting up the center and then cutting from either side up. All right, and then these pieces are going to go on. I'll use some multi-purpose glue. And I'm going to figure out the positioning of this and just kind of slide these underneath. Like that. It just adds a little bit more color, well, color, more brown, but a little bit of contrast from the background. And then I've got a little piece of some white woven ribbon, and I'm going to take about a 6-inch piece of linen thread, and fold this around, or fold this in half, and then wrap this around and tie a bow. I will have a full supply list. Actually, I think I've already got it in the description of the video. If there's anything that you would like to check out in the online store, if you click on any of those links, it will take you right there so that you can see what they look like. And if you live in Canada, you can shop right from that link. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to trim these ends just a little bit, make them a little bit shorter. And then this is going to go on. We'll use a mini glue dot for this. We'll pop it right on here. We'll do it right about there. And then we're going to add some dimensionals. I'm going to add the dimensionals on, instead of on the back of this, I'm going to add them on here, just so I can add them around where the bulk of this is. And then we'll position this on here, making sure that our thank you is straight. Okay, now we'll bring back our card. And then this is going to go in here like that. So we've made that nice and pretty. And again, your gift card would get tucked in behind. And then that's already pretty. We don't need to do anything there. But now we need to put something on here so that you can write a message. I mean, I guess you could write it on here as well, but we're going to put a piece of white on there. But of course, we're going to stamp it first. So I'm going to bring back my scrap. I'm going to add another one of those leaves in gold olive. And then we'll do a little bit of ink blending around the edges, just with the ink that's left on the blending brush. Okay, and then we'll fold this back and okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this is lined up straight, and I don't want to see the white from behind. So I've got it upside down, lining it up with that DSP that's in there, and then I'm going to fold it over and then apply some pressure. And that way I don't see that white peeking out from behind. Oh, that is not straight, is it? Let's just tweak that a little bit, make sure it's straight. And there we go. There is our little gift card holder. We're just going to finish it off with some of these neutral matte dots. So I'm going to use a couple pecan ones in here. I'll put one here. One here. And then we're going to use a couple of the vanilla ones here. Actually, I think these might be basic beige, not vanilla. And there we go. Our gift card holder is done. Our trifold gift card holder. Isn't that pretty? And it's really simple to do. And it's a special way to present a little gift card holder or a little gift card. And I want to share one other one that I did use in a different collection. So here's one here using the wildflower birthday DSP. And there's a gift card tucked in there. So fun. And then you could do a matching envelope because it does fit into a standard size envelope. There is a lot of bulk, so if you are mailing it, it will require extra postage, at least here in Canada it will. So just a heads up, this, if you don't want to pay for extra postage, it might be something that you want to hand deliver to somebody. So there you go. So just a reminder that anyone who places a minimum order of $60 before shipping and taxes and any stamp and rewards, um, or after any stamp and rewards, then I will send you one of these kits to make this beautiful gift card holder. All right. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely Easter weekend. And I will be back next Friday. Next Friday, I believe I will be scrapbooking with Paper Pumpkin, provided my kit comes in next week. So I will see you at 10 a.m. Mountain Time next Friday. All right. Take care. Have a lovely weekend.